So here's listen, before we get into it, I want you to think about something. What we're going to talk about in this episode is something that affects that there's new cases of this, 2 million new cases of this annually in the US, and approximately 1,700 deaths per day because of this. China even reports that nearly 8,000 of the deaths related to this are happening daily. And there's lack of progress in improving the death rates for this thing that we're covering today. What is it? Cancer. If cancer has had an impact on your life, for you personally, someone in your family, someone you care about, get your pad, get a pen, sit down and let's have a conversation, man. Let's get real about this, and let's start to talk about let's really saving lives. Let's get this shit. Let's get it. B, how you doing, bro?
Doing good. It's not a joyful conversation we're going to have today, but I hope it does shed light on a lot of people's mindset. I think most people's mindset is there's like a coin flip that we're going to have you're going to have cancer one day. And then when that comes, it's a painful road to go down. It's a lot of like radiation, chemotherapy, drugs, losing the hair. And it's like, it's not fun to talk about. It's not fun to experience. And another statistic is they say by the year 2030, 1 out of 2 people will have cancer. And it's scary. And with all the research we've been doing over the last 100 years, it hasn't improved whatsoever. The biggest breakthrough actually of cancer, where they saw like a 30% drop, is when they started telling people smoking cigarettes are bad. So it has nothing to do with even the prescriptions or the drugs or the surgeries or the chemo. It's about prevention, like taking things out of your body. So it has nothing to do with any kind of medical breakthrough, and it's only getting worse. And I think one of the biggest reasons it's getting worse is because they don't understand the origin of cancer, how it starts, what's causing it, how to fix it without using drugs. I mean, I'm not saying you should never use drugs. And before we kind of get into this, Paul and we're obviously not doctors. We're obviously not telling it from our own experience, but we do a lot of research. Paul and I, we've traveled all around the country. We have in my opinion, some of the best doctors. Read a lot of books on them, and and watching YouTube videos. One of the things that we're going to really promote today is this guy, Thomas Seyfried. He's out of the University of Boston College, and he's leading the path, or he's kind of pushing, having forward progress, and he's seeing great results. And we're here to kind of just regurgitate what he's saying, plus using other things that we've learned across the way and helping our clients become more healthy. So I just this is not from our research, but from Dr. Seyfried, and we will one of many people that were researching. So we'll put these in the show notes for you to kind of dive into a little more. And I highly recommend you start looking at his stuff. But I mean, look, I really want to dive into this because I was telling Paul pregame, like, I have like one of my best friends is dying of cancer. I have a couple clients that have some issues. It's just everywhere you look, it's around us, and it's almost like inevitable unless you know how to take preventable actions, be proactive instead of reactive. Yeah. We're going to have these. We're going to eventually, we're trying to nip this in the bud.
There it is, man. And thank you for putting out there like where we're coming from on this. This podcast is our sole intention is to support you in being an advocate for your own health and well-being. That part of that means like, hey, you can have your doctors and things like this, and we want you to be aware of things that are possible. So as you're listening to this, my invitation to you, our invitation to you, is to take your blinders off, even if it's just for this 40 minutes to 60 minutes here, and be open to things that could be the root of what is happening. Because traditionally, like people say, hey, if cancer's in your family, you're going to get it. And what Brian and I are going to go over here to help you break down based on what this professor has really has really studied, let's be open to what's possible, because this could heal a lot of lives. All right. So B, let's talk. We talked about the statistics with what's happening with cancer, like how prevalent it is. But one of the things, like when I was really feeling the passion about what you were saying in the pregame, were some of the things how Dr. Seyfried, or Thomas Seyfried, really talks about as far as getting to the root of cancer. So can you help us understand like what that even means, like, and what had that resonate with you, man?
Yeah, one of the things, one of the studies that was promoted in 2020, I tried to find the study. It might have been in his show notes, but I couldn't find it off the top of my head, or how many people were in the study. I want to say it was like a couple hundred people in there. And one of the things that almost like it got me excited was in 2020, they did a study with over, I think it was like 150, 160 women who had breast cancer, stage 3 and 4. And he had them go on this kind of metabolic diet. And there was a literally 100% survival rate after 2 years. I don't know what happened after that, but to me, that was like, holy shit. Like,
that's amazing.
Why isn't it's not 90%, it was 100%. And I understand some studies can be different and everything like that, to take it with a grain of salt. But I was like, wow. I was like, okay. And I've heard, and just going back with in a lot of the stuff we're going to tell you how he fixed it is stuff that I've learned about back in the day with working with other practitioners and doctors and everything like that. So it's all kind of like coming together. It all comes back full circle.
Nice.
So
good.
What his biggest thing is, he's a advocate for something called metabolic theory of cancer. So he doesn't think it's genetic. I mean, of course, we all have genetics play a small role in it, right? About maybe 3 to 5%. But he believes it's the metabolic part. What's going on in the mitochondria? Mitochondria is like your powerhouse. The organelle inside the cell is like a powerhouse. It gives you energy. So he believes, well, he's not believes, this is a fact, that I'm going to kind of go a little bit of the science in here. And I'm going to try to repeat myself. And Paul, you stop me, and then we'll kind of go nice and slow. So you have a normal cell. It's that produces something called oxidative phosphorylation. And what this means, a normal healthy cell uses oxygen to produce ATP. ATP, again, is energy your body needs. And this ATP gets converted from glucose. So oxygen to produce ATP for energy from glucose.
Glucose. Okay? Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things, we breathe air, we exhale, we breathe oxygen, we exhale CO2. And that CO2 is waste. We also exhale water vapor. And again, these are the waste products. So once we consume food, our cells use it in the mitochondria, brings it up. We're going to use it as energy. Whatever's left over is waste. We're going to exhale it. That's CO2 and water vapor. Okay. So everything we eat is broken down into the mitochondria. An example of fermentation. So what fermentation is, when your body doesn't use oxygen to produce ATP to glucose. So example of fermentation would be when we have a heart attack, for example. And you go without oxygen for a short period of time, and our body's filled with two kind of acids. It fills with lactic acid, which is a byproduct of sugar, glucose, and it fills with succinic acid, which is a byproduct of glutamine. Glutamine is an abundant amino acid, and it's usually found in the bloodstream. So once your body uses up the glucose, it kind of uses glutamine as a back end, or as another resource. So side note, it's very important that if you have somebody that's dealing with cancer and they're taking glutamine supplement, it's like adding fuel to the fire. Get rid of that shit. Like get that out of yourself. So when your body is going without oxygen, it turns on these ancient pathways, these ancient fermentation pathways. And the reason we say ancient is because our planet's been around 4.5 billion years. Oxygen has only been around approximately 1.5 billion. So we had all these microorganisms, bacteria that were living short lives that didn't have a lot of oxygen. And it wasn't until plants started growing and you get the whole photosynthesis thing and oxygen and all this other stuff. And so they relied on these two sources of fuel, lactic acid and succinic acid, to live very short periods of time. Okay. So this sugar, again, is glucose and the amino acids glutamine, which is in our bloodstream. These two fuels are now burned for energy without oxygen. So when a cancer cell that doesn't have oxygen, it needs to survive. So it uses, again, glucose, and it uses glutamine as the main source. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting too is another way we can go without glucose, and is something called, we all have heard of cyanide. And what's interesting, Paul, if you and I would each take some cyanide right now, we'd be dead in an hour. It just cuts off all the oxygen in the cells. But what's interesting is cancer can actually survive in cyanide because it goes back to this ancient fermentation process. So it doesn't need the oxygen to survive. I thought it was super interesting. Yeah.
Right. So I want to make sure what I'm hearing you say is our cells, like oxygen help. So, okay, wait. So I'm hearing this is that, so in our cells, like the mitochondria use oxygen or glucose, right? For energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So what this concept that you're talking about, this is basically saying if the cells are because the cancer will feed off the glucose, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're able to starve the cell of the glucose, we could stop the feeding source of cancer.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You're starving the cell. You want to starve the cell, the cancer cell, of glucose.
So this is what
Dr. So much. Yeah.
So this is what he's talking about right here. And also to add, what I'm also hearing, is that the fermentation process you're talking about?
Yeah. So again, the fermentation process is, I'll kind of read it again word for word. So like when we have low oxygen or no oxygen in our body's filled with lactic acid and succinic acid, which comes from glucose and glutamine. So it produces waste products. Okay. Make sense? All right.
Yes, I think I'm getting it here. So in this process, so tell me a little bit more about
so the fermentation, it's a metabolic process that allows cells to generate energy without oxygen. So when you have cancer, there's very little oxygen getting into the cells.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So now you're using glucose as the main source of energy. And that glucose spits out lactic acid and it spits out succinic acid, the byproducts of sugar, glucose, and glutamine.
And that cuts the life of the cell.
Not the cancer cell, but it breaks everything else down.
Right. Well, yes. Yeah. Okay. So I am getting it. So because now of what's left in the cell, because the cancer is basically starving the cell of any oxygen. Basically, the cancer cell is taking over and killing the original cell because the original cell has no oxygen to thrive.
So when you have a healthy cell, it needs oxygen to survive.
Right.
A cancer cell does not need oxygen to survive.
It needs
it needs glucose to survive.
Yes, and then it kicks out the acids, the lactic and the succinic acid, which is like a toxin.
Yes, so it's a waste product on us.
Waste product. That's okay.
Yep. So again,
this has nothing to do with genetics, then.
No, it has nothing to do with genetics. It has to do with lifestyle. This is stuff that's been if anybody's ever studied in this field long enough, and I'm not saying study in a university, actually go out and meet people that have actually helped people and cured people. Universities are run by pharmaceutical companies and doctors. And again, we just talked about before with the statistics, it's not getting any better. So why are you listening to them? If you want to get to the root cause, but there's a lot of people out there that have shown, they're proven to use this stuff and it works, but they try to keep it a little low or a little under the covers, because if everybody realizes, wow, okay, if I can just cut glucose out of my system and go put my body in a ketosis state and use ketones as my major source of fat burning, how much money is going to be out there for these pharmaceutical companies to make? Very, very little. I want to say an average insurance, every time you go through a thing of chemo, I think it's like $30,000-$40,000. These hospitals they make, it's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't do anything, you know. And when I say it doesn't do anything, so much statistics around this that only 97% of people that use the chemo, it doesn't work, because what they're finding is the chemo, when you have a cancer cell, it creates other cells, and these are daughter cells. The chemo kills the daughter cells, but it never gets to the father cell or the mother cell.
Right. So it's going to keep regrowing.
Yeah. So the doctors are like, oh, wow, okay, the chemo's working, the drugs are working, everything is going good, it's disappearing. Then once you stop the chemo, it makes it even actually worse. It's more aggressive now. So you're never getting to the root cause of the problem. Yeah. It's yeah. So it's
bananas. It's so bananas, because the narrative of, hey, this is genetic, and like, all right, we just got to remove it or give some sort of radiation or chemotherapy to it is look, I mean, god dang, man, it's almost like a sham, because it's like bringing back a repeat customer, man. Okay, yeah, you know, we'll cut this thing out. But if what I'm hearing you say is like, yo, the two parent cancer cells could still be prevalent or are still existence. So what's it gonna do? Oh, you took my children? Okay, I'm gonna freaking go John Wick on your ass, and I'm gonna put all these more. I'm gonna put more cancer cells, which helps me understand the reason why when I hear some people defeat cancer, then it comes back either just as it was before or even more aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think listen, people really take this in for a second, because even the chemotherapy that people do, that's even cutting off oxygen to the cells. So it's like it's open. It's like laying the fertile ground within the body for more cancer to come back, is what I'm hearing.
And even if cancer uses oxygen as a source, it'll still throw out that succinic acid, that lactic acid, that waste product. It's just a breakdown in the mitochondria. So what today we want to talk about is like, all right, that's basically what all it comes down to. You look at every cancer, lung, heart, I don't know heart cancer, but like lung, brain cancer, prostate cancer, all this stuff, it all has the same underlying issue. The mitochondria is jacked up. The mitochondria is not working correctly. Every single cancer, mitochondria is not working correctly, without any doubt. But if you look under like lung cancer, you look under prostate cancer, the cancers look different. So with that in mind, what things can we do to increase the mitochondria?
Let's talk about it.
And it's like, even before we even get into it, like off the top of your head, like when the doctor, what do doctors do to increase the mitochondria? They don't do anything. They don't teach you ways how to eat better. What the fuck does that mean? Most people don't know how to eat better. Most people don't know what eat better is. Their main goal when you go to a doctor, and I have friends that are in there right now, their main goal is to get rid of that cancer at any expense. Right. I don't care if your testosterone drops 300 pounds. I don't care if you put on 60% body weight. I don't care if you aches and pains. I don't care if you're nauseous all the time. I don't care if you're in all this pain, whatever it is. Their main goal is to try to get rid of the cancer. But the way they're trying to get rid of the cancer is so inefficient. And we're going to look back on this in about, 50 to 100 years. And we're going to be like, what the fuck were we doing to these people? What the I mean, I hate laughing. It's not even like laughing like ha ha. It's like laughing because it's like fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable, like the thought process that goes into this. Dude. So with that being said,
wait, hold on. So this is interesting, B, because in the pregame we were talking about, I was like, hey, I want to share about the metaphysical. And before we get into like treating it, I think it's very important to recognize, like when I was looking up to like the possible emotions aligned to cancer and just like key points to help address it through like metabolic anatomy technique, which is like honed in by this woman, Yvette Rose. But some of the key points I noticed were there's anger, there's resentment, there's tension in the body. What do people do when we're tense? Our breathing becomes short, lack of oxygen, which again creates more fuel for this to happen, right? Like for like, oh, my body's not getting, I'm tense. Oh, this is pissing me off. Brr. And now these cancer cells are like, oh, we don't have.
Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum. It's almost like Pac-Man. Numbing up the mitochondria is like freaking goddamn. So
I mean, you and I, we talk on this same topic. You and I, we always talk about when we do muscle testing or we work with clients, they're all chest breathers. If you're a chest breather, you only get 1/3 of the oxygen in your body. That's the first thing I always teach everybody is how to breathe. First thing if you want a better aesthetic body, you want a better functioning body, more of a pain-free body, a healthier mitochondria to prevent any kind of, metabolic disease like cancer or anything like that. Breathing is the number one thing, but it's not sexy. And that's why people don't do it. It's not sexy. People are like, why would I work on something that I do 25,000 times a day? I don't get it. Like, and I'm being facetious when I'm saying that. It's like, to me, man, I don't get it. But no, I need to do more weight training. I need to do heavier weight, or I need to run faster. Or I need to get an extra day of cardio in. No, motherfucker, like increase your oxygen that's going in your body. Practice breathing, practice diaphragmatic breathing.
Listen, that alone will cure so many damn things, bro. People fail to even recognize. I'm like, I teach that yoga class all the damn time. I'm like, the first thing we're gonna do is breathe. Let's get reconditioned. But listen, let's go into some other things, man, because especially since we're talking to the folks about this being a metabolic condition.
Yeah.
What the heck, B, does that even mean in regards to how we would treat this, man, and how we would address cancer if at any point we may be diagnosed or someone we love is diagnosed?
Yeah. So again, metabolic conditioning, we want to look at what's causing the mitochondria, that powerhouse, that energy organelle within the cell to start running inefficiently. What's causing that? One of the first things I would do, kind of going back, we've been talking about this last 25 minutes, is get rid of as much sugar in your body as you possibly can. Watch your blood sugar levels. I'm not saying get rid of go straight, ketosis or straight keto or straight Paleolithic, but monitor your blood sugar levels. There is so much research out there that proves without a doubt, the quickest way a tumor grows or a cancer cell grows is with too much sugar. The best way to slow down a cancer growth is decreasing your sugar. Best way to speed up cancer growth, increasing your sugar. This is hands down. This is common knowledge. Whether your doctor's telling you or not, this is common knowledge. So watching what you're eating, refined carbohydrate, refined sugars, all this alcohol, just be careful. I'm not saying never have any of that stuff. We all like to go out. We like to have our stuff. But if you're walking around with your blood sugars at 150, 200 all day, and then you're in 3 to 5 years, oh, what? I don't understand why I got cancer. I eat healthy. No, dumbass. Watch your blood sugar levels. And I hate to say dumbass. Most people don't know how to eat correctly. So, but get something that's going to monitor your blood sugar levels.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes. B, I just want to highlight one thing, man, because the key thing, there's 2 key points right here. First, the blood sugar levels. Okay. Second, monitor it. All right. Most people will like you said, there's a complaining I don't know. What it really boils down to is cats are resistant to saying they don't know. The key for you to know is to find some way that works for you to monitor your blood sugar level. They may be great, but the thing is, and they may be piss poor. Either way, it's key for you to monitor it. So that's a key point, what you said, B. Find your way to manage that junk, because that's going to be important, bro.
And to kind of piggyback off with this whole blood sugar thing too, is if you like your sweets, this is when nutrient timing comes in effect. We've had a past episode about this. So if you want to you crave donuts or you crave Coca-Cola or whatever it is, right after a workout, that's your best time to put sugar in your body, because it doesn't stay in your bloodstream. Your body just soaks it up so much. It gets pushed in your cells really quickly. It gets used for energy. And it's actually very, depending on the type of sugar, it's very anabolic for the body. So I would not, if you're not a person that likes to work out, you really got to pay attention to your glucose. But if you, regardless, even if you do work out, but if you do work out, you have this kind of open window to shuttle this crap carbohydrates in your body, there's junk food in your body, where it's not going to sit in your bloodstream and have those cancer cells feed off it. Because there's another important thing too. While we're on this, there's cancer cells in everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone has cancer cells. Whether you're the healthiest person in the world, you have cancer cells. It's just what environmental things are triggering that cancer cell to unlock and open up. This is where the whole thing of epigenetics gets thrown in here. Your environment creates your diseases.
Mm-hmm. Man, bless up to that. Yeah, I know Brian even got going right now. Church. Brother, this is really important, because what I'm hearing in what you're saying is that there's still a way. There's not, it's not, again, like we say, it's not black or white saying, hey, I can't eat sweets anymore. Is that what you're saying? No, what Brian's saying is if you're gonna eat sweets, you freaking booty hat, you can freaking do it at a certain time, which will be productive for your body, right? So if you're eating your sweets after you work out or before you work out, your body's gonna use that to help you address, like, and grow. Like, it's gonna be in your bloodstream and gonna come out of it, rather than you just eating it while you're watching Netflix, and then it just sits in your body. It's not being utilized, right? This is the key, and this is metabolics, right? The metabolics is like, how is your body processing the resources that it has? Cancer is going to disrupt that and produce something different. You're saying here, what's the environment that you're putting your cells in, man, for their success? That's huge. Huge, bro. B, what else is some stuff that they want to pay attention to, bro? Especially
exercise.
Exercise,
I would get into like 2 or 3 days of weight training. I would do some yoga to kind of slow some things down. I would do any kind of exercise, because what exercise does, it decreases your blood sugar levels. I mean, that's just one of many things it does.
All
but
right, so,
definitely, if you're not moving or you're not exercising. And I'm not talking exercise for some people out there like, oh, I walk around the neighborhood. That's not exercise. It's ridiculous. Like, exercise is going to get your heart rate up a little bit, where if you want to get to a point where it's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like you're about to pass out, you should be pushing yourself about a 6 or 7, a couple minutes every week, But you want to push yourself so you're not having a normal conversation without like kind of like huffing and puffing a little bit. So move. God damn it, move, man.
Yeah, listen, this is what Brian really wanted to say when he said exercise, because he was like, you gotta move. He's like, man. Get your ass moving, man. Yeah. That's what you wanted to say. I can tell you held back. Yeah. Thank you for that. So I'm gonna say what I know you wanted to.
Try to keep it PG.
Yeah, you try to be PG. Yeah. I know, and I'm still working on my cursing. And listen, get moving, people. Listen, I'm gonna be one, transparent. You know how this is how we do. There's sometimes I don't want to move, okay? And it means like I got my little to-go-tos, like, okay, let me just get out, at least jump rope. Okay, move, just get your body in act. Because listen, what I'm hearing you say and why this is important is because if I can consistently have some sort of way that my body knows I'm going to utilize it. Think about this. Now your cells will be like, oh, junk, okay, we got something. Are they just sitting here? They're about to move. If you have something in your body that's going to say, hey, listen, oh, we're going to use this. So before we hold and store it and give it to cancer, let's hold off. Oh, here we go. We're moving. We're doing jumping jacks, push-ups, whatever. The key thing is to get moving. And it can be, I stop here for a second, because when people say this, I judge that it can be very overwhelming and daunting for people to really be like, oh my God, I got to do blah. Just get moving. Yeah. For your body at this moment is going to communicate to your body like, oh, junk. Oh, hey, people, instead of giving it to that thing over there, let's use it for energy over here. We need that glucose. Thank you. It's a completely different mindset, man. It's a rewire, bro. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate
Another thing I would do is I would check especially if you had cancer, just like your number one thing. Yeah. I would recommend going into try to get your body into ketosis state as much as possible. So get like a ketone monitor, and you want to like optimally, really, like you therapeutically wise, you want to be around anywhere from like a 5 to a 6 as far as like MMO per liter. mmol per liter. That's where you want to be, like around a 5 or 6. Prolonged fasting, you can probably get up to about an 8, and that's probably where you want to be. The reason you want to put yourself in a ketosis state is because, again, man, our ancestors, our genetics, we're most of us are based on it coming from an area where we fasted for a long period of time. I mean, there's so many different kind of theories out there, but the one that kind of sticks is the people we fasted for such a long period of time. We didn't really have too many fruits and vegetables. We provided a lot. We ate a lot of meat, so we were constantly our Paleolithic ancestors were in a constant state of ketosis, and we're just producing ketones as the major source of fuel for the body at that time. So kind of going back to where your Paleolithic ancestors were is going to be big. So I would get like a ketone monitor, and I mean, just try to get a little above average where you are, especially if you have any cancer issues, or you have tumors, or you have any kind of scare. I would definitely put yourself in that optimal, that therapeutic ketosis state.
And I just want to highlight something for listeners that may be joining us that really have little background in any of this. So a ketosis state is basically, I mean, for lack of better terms, it's like a fasted state. Mm-hmm. And by getting to that fasted state, your body's going to utilize fats and anything that's in there that may be of detriment to your body will begin to address those things, to use them as fuel and get them out of your body, to excrete them, remove them. That's a very important place. I think, so I'm trying to remember what it was I saw in your notes that helped me recognize the fact that some of these cancers, the prevalence of this is, I think part of it is because we eat too much. And this is the second time when we're talking about what I'm hearing you say, B, and addressing that part of monitoring what's happening with your body. Like you talked about this with the glucose levels, and I'm hearing you say the same thing here with the ketosis states. And I think for people to even recognize, like, hey man, it's okay to not have food. A lot of times it's a conditioning for us to eat a certain way. And again, I think the part of it, like, to address like what's coming up for me is I think of a lot of the standards that we've grown up on have produced this false narrative of we're supposed to eat 3 meals a day of like all these heavy things, which ends up bogging our system down and creates this fertile environment for cancers, man. I think it's kind of diabolical, and I'm just going to save more of my opinion on it. But I think I'm glad we're talking about this. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I mean, I was going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, bro. Like, I think our food is actually it's going to get worse. I was reading something the other day. So with that Ozempic stuff, right? Yeah, it's actually hurting the junk food companies, right? It's hurting the junk food companies. So now a lot of the junk food companies. So when you take Ozempic, it basically kind of like you don't get hungry anymore. It blocks a certain molecule or enzyme in your body, so you don't get hungry. Junk food companies don't like this, so now they're going to start putting some chemicals in their junk food to unblock that pathway, to kind of keep it going. So when you're saying like, yeah, maybe like it's hard for a lot of people to fast, and one of the reasons, if you keep eating like processed stuff that's laced with chemicals, the craving is going to be outrageous. But if you're eating like organic, natural stuff, and again, the food process, it's only going to get worse, man. The food is only going to get worse. I mean, it's with RFK in there now, at least it's getting out there to people. Like, I have clients who are like, hey, do you know organic's better? I'm like, I've been telling you this for fucking 15 years. Like, so it's like, at least it's getting out there. I'm like, I'm glad a politician in a suit and tie told you this, and now you believe them, right?
People are so cute.
But don't believe the guy that's never been on a prescription medication in his life. But okay, whatever, But anyway, just be careful with that. It's only going to get worse. Try to stick to more healthy organic stuff.
So that's why I put here: be mindful of your intake, man, because I think one of the things, and you'll hear Brian and I say this on a regular basis. Again, it's not either or, like, hey, it's this or nothing. Listen, there's ways that you can still live. It's just being mindful, man. Like, hey, listen, if you want to have ice cream every now and then, okay, fine. But if you're eating like ice cream from when like Frosties and processed stuff and whatever that looks like for you, go as natural as you can. Go get the original fruit. Go get the original vegetable. Play around with some olive oil or avocado oil and some spices and things like this, some different herbs, and figure out what works for you to like ignite that taste bud. Because you find, like, especially eating whole real food, you'll be fuller faster. You'll be fuller faster, and for long, not even faster, for longer. The faster is the processed stuff. You're like, oh my God, I feel so full. And then an hour later, you're like, yo, man, did I eat? Yeah, man, that stuff is anyway. But I appreciate that. But any other thing that for them that you see as being helpful based on like cancer being a metabolic condition? What's some things that people can start going on? Or
again, processed carbohydrates, poor diet, that's big. Chronic mental and emotional stress, that's huge. We kind of talked about that. That's big. Exposure to microplastics, like that are in our environment. It's very ubiquitous. A lot of like, you don't even have to eat that stuff now. Like you can breathe in microplastics. It's wild. So be careful, mindful of that. Any kind of environmental toxins that deplenishes, that breaks down the mitochondria and makes it inefficient. Lack of sleep is one of the biggest things for one of the reasons people have a lot of mitochondria dysfunction is the lack of sleep. We talked about in the past, like, you have your circadian rhythm between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Your body goes through physical repair. Cancer cells get attacked by immune cells. Mitochondria gets repaired. Fungus, parasites, bacteria, they're getting attacked by the immune system. So your body needs that 4-hour window to kind of reset itself on a physical aspect. And then between 2 and 6, your body goes through a psychological time, erases away the stress from the day before. So it's very important to get, and it's only between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. your body happens to go through this. So if you're you work at nights, you're missing out on the full 8 hours. I don't care if you sleep 16 hours in a row after that, you're not getting the benefits of this. So that's important too to think about.
Damn. So this is all really looking at our environment, man. There's a lot of pieces. Yeah. Listen, there's a lot that can be done here.
There's a lot.
And it's like for all what we're asking you here is pick one. Pick one for right now. Pick just solamente uno. Por favor. Okay. I'm coming back, Duolingo. But like seriously, man, like because look, Brian and I we're gonna provide you with information that we come across and help it and present it in a way that we intend is going to be easy for you to digest. And part of it to be easy to digest is really about you integrating this. It's one thing to hear us talk about this and like we appreciate you, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. And we also want to make sure that you can integrate this because this is part of the practice. This is a lifestyle thing. That means what does that mean, Paul? Well, it means that you're going to attempt to do some of these things, and you may fall flat on your face. You may start to exercise, you miss a day. You may be mindful of your intake and you have some Lay's sweet and sour cream potato chips. It's going to happen. You can get back on the thing. And again, this isn't about like strikes. This is about your lifestyle, making these things practices so you can create an environment that cancer cannot survive. Cancer cannot survive, or actually in this case, will not survive or even activate. Okay, since we all have cancer cells. So I think that's important for people to understand, and I appreciate the fact that we talked this through.
So what we gave a lot of information, Paul. So what would be like your top 3 things that somebody can do right away?
Brother, that thing I just did right there. Breathe.
Breathe.
Okay. First things first, learn to diaphragmatically breathe. Okay. Learn how you can get oxygen into your body. That's numero uno. Number 1 in my book, B. Number 1. The second thing is intake. What are you taking in, right? And also with this, when you're taking something in, what's the energy around it? Like, hey, are you eating like, or are you just sitting outside, letting the sun soak up on your face, really chewing and tasting your food, letting the digestive enzymes do their job and break down the food accordingly? Are you able to do that? Are you eating things that allow your body to do that? Which means, are you eating more natural foods? Are you looking at that? So that's going to be the second thing. So I have the breath, the intake, the movement. Okay? Have your movement. And it could be, listen, we talked with Dr. Casey. It could be an isometric thing. You just sit in a push-up position. Like, you could be sitting in a squat. Sit in a squat for a minute, man, throughout the day. Find something for you that you know that you can always come back to on a regular basis and be like, all right, man, listen, I didn't move at all today. I'm going to go run these stairs 75 times. I'm going to walk around with a weight in one hand around the block and then I go around again. I don't care. Like, I'm detached. But those are the three things that I think if people can consistently do, we're in a different place as far as our health and well-being now. And addressing cancer specifically and keeping a space for it to be unable to live. That's
Love it.
What about for you?
Yeah. Breathing was definitely on there. I don't know if I'm going to say it now because I want to give him something different. So you took my breathing and movement. 1 and 2. I think my so 1 and 2 breathing movement. I think breathing's first. Then I would say monitor your glucose and ketones. Glucose, just in general, monitor your glucose. If you had a medical scare or you've been through issues with cancer or any kind of metabolic diseases or anything else, then you start monitoring your ketones. Really hone in on that. You want to put yourself in a ketosis state. Mental, emotional. I see a lot of people, and this is very common. Like, people, they do everything correctly. They eat well, they exercise, but they're just always like rigid. You know what I mean? They can't let go. They're holding something in there. Maybe a nice ayahuasca journey. Let's throw that in there. If you watch the show enough, I'm a big ayahuasca. And listen, I'll tell you right now, if I work out a lot, so that wouldn't be an issue. But if I would ever come down with cancer, first thing I would do, I would monitor my blood sugar levels on a regular basis. I don't do that right now because I eat clean. I would work on getting myself in a ketosis state. I'm definitely not in a ketosis state. I would go out, I would find an ayahuasca retreat, and I would probably live out there for like 6 months, do ayahuasca, because if you don't know what ayahuasca is, it's almost like like psychic surgery, right? Psychic surgery, I guess that'd be a good way to put it. Like, it just cleans out all the trash that you think you are, and a lot of these emotional issues that you have within you that are so dormant in you that you probably don't even realize you have. It's manifesting into these physical forms, cancer and all this other stuff. So I would definitely go out there and make sure I'm not doing any more damage to myself as possible. So those are the things I would do.
Ooh, child, bro. Listen, that's what we can, like, I see us having some retreats to like help folks with that, man. Because
I love that.
You are bringing up something, bro. Like, and listen, we tapped into this a little bit with the metaphysical, but bro, there's a lot there with that, because like the behaviors that can contribute to cancer and activating it are rooted in something energetic and spiritual and emotional.
100%.
Bro, it's like,
that's a whole other episode.
Man.
We've actually done a couple episodes on that, right?
We have. We may have to come back to that, bro, because we're getting close to the hundreds. We may have to recycle some stuff. But listen, man, this was so good. I'm so happy we're doing it. And listen, this is continuing on with the health prevention, with the disease prevention. We've done heart disease. This is our cancer. We have Alzheimer's. We have gut health. So there's some couple things here that are prevalent in our society right now. B and I are going to really break down and provide you some different insights and perspectives on what you can do to address them. So until next time, B, any last words before we head out of here?
Nope. Let's wrap it up, my man.
Pew, 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 pew. Peace, everybody. I don't know what the hell that was, but peace.